Okay, so good morning to everyone who decided to join on with us. And my name is Austin, and I'm joined with Ama, Charlie, and Wang Weisheng to talk about this presentation. So in a nutshell, this presentation is about comparing between like how indie games around the world and also Malaysian games in how they self-finance, like how they for their game development for their games through like maybe like self-funding, Kickstarter or anything, and also how they set up their benchmarks for their success. And we will also talk about the future of Malaysian game development to see what kind of challenges will Malaysia's game industry face. So let's start off with our first indie game of the day. So the game that I picked is System Shock. So System Shock is a immersive sim game developed by Night Dive Studio for PC and consoles. It is essentially a remake of the 1994 PC game System Shock by Looking Glass Studio, released for MS-DOS, PC-98, and Mac computer systems. The game itself is mostly backed by Kickstarters, raising like 1.35 million US dollars, and also around the time later on, the game studio itself was acquired by Atari, which would later play like additional role in funding the development and publishing. The Kickstarter, the back and as well as the acquisition of the Atari, definitely made Night Dive Studio to be able to hire more developers on the project and also enhancing the production quality of the game. So after the game development, they're able to generate at least 6.5 million US dollars in revenue, excluding like any platform cuts. So what do we feel when it comes to like big opportunities coming up? So while crowdfunding creates like a strong expectation from backers, it does offer like as an alternative funding path for developers to pursue niche genres that might be overlooked by the market. And also the success of the game will be able to justify more projects for the IP. And that's all for my part. And I will let Charlie to talk about what he has chosen for this presentation.
Hi everyone, my name is Carlton Chan and today I'll be presenting on the next indie game which is called Stardew Valley. Stardew Valley was first developed by Eric Barron. He has an online persona that he likes to go by which is called the Concerned Ape. As you can see, that's his logo right there. Stardew Valley is a pixelated cozy farming simulator game that was first released in 2016, with it being playable on multiple platforms such as the Nintendo Switch, iOS, Mac OS, PlayStation 4 and many more. The game was solely financed and handled by Eric himself on the development cost side. But in the end, it paid off since the game became wildly popular globally. In and as of 2024, 41 million copies had been sold of his game. But being the only developer with a limited budget constraint, it can lead to some unwanted issues from the game, such as slower development time on updates and a decrease in quality due to bugs or glitches found by players. But in the end, Stardew Valley is a great example on how a limited budget cannot stop passion from working its magic, and with it achieving high global success through creative risk taking and producing a game that many will continue to play in the years to come. And with that, I'll pass it on to my next presenter, Wei Sheng, to the next section.
Thank you, Charlie. So for my part, I'll be presenting on a local branded game called Post Night. Post Night is an RPG mobile app that was created by Kuruchi, a Malaysian game development team. It was released for iOS and Android on February 9, 2017, after the beta testing period ended. As a self-financed game by Kuruchi, Post Night has generated approximately dollars 200,000 revenue in the first year after launch on February 2007. Due to the modest budget and being entirely self-financed, the limiting funding likely impacted the scope and technical features of the game. Post Night has a simple visual style, minimal narrative elements, and lacks advanced features like voice acting or dynamic environments, which you can see are more common in higher budget RPGs. But this didn't stop Postnights from being a top game among Malaysia and also even globally. Poetry financial independence gave the team creative freedom to explore a niche idea, blending casual mobile mechanics with RPG progression in a literary team game. While large-scale risks like open world design or deep branching narrative were likely out of reach, Koji was free to take more creative risks in genre fusion, art style, and mobile first user experience. Now I'll pass my mic to Amma.
Thank you, Wishing. Tech Pro Century was developed by Tura Studios, a local game development company in Malaysia. According to Bernama, it's based on a traditional Malaysian children game from the 1980s and 1990s, which is called Police and Thief. This version was released in 2021, which was transformed into an online multiplayer game where 10 players compete in teams of police or thief. The game was launched on Google Play, Apple App Store, and Steam, so it can be played on both mobile phones and computers. This shows that the developers were aiming to make it widely accessible to as many players as possible. Now, moving on into the finance section, Tech Pro Century was self-funded by Todak Studios. This means that they use their own money to develop the game without help from big companies or outside investors. On Steam, the game was sold at a low price of 4.99 ringgit or around USD $199. While on mobile, it was made free to play, as this is a common strategy for small developers. Free games can attract more players and they usually make more money through in-game purchases or ads. But it also means the income might be limited. Next is the impact of this financial approach. Because they don't have big budget, the game was developed in just 6 months by a team of only 6 developers working remotely. According to Tu, games developed with limited financial support often faces big risk. If the game doesn't earn enough money, the company might have to stop working on it. They could also lose things like their trademark, copyright, and even key stuff. So while self-funding gives the team creative freedom, it also puts pressure on them to survive financially. Let's now look at the opportunity. Even though Todak Studios had limited funding, they managed to reach international exposure. According to Metrate, they were part of the Tokyo Game Show 2024, a major gaming event. This was made possible through support from government agencies like MDA and Metrate, who help Malaysian game developers connect with global markets. So even if a game starts small, there's still a chance for it to grow if the right support is there. Therefore, we can see that Tech Pro Century illustrates both the challenges and potential of being an indie game in Malaysia. Its self-funded nature led to creative freedom and cultural storytelling, but also financial pressure that limits its scale. Yet, with government support, international exposure, and a growing digital economy, the future is promising for developers like Todak Studios. To truly unlock that potential, ongoing investment in infrastructures, education, and cross-border collaboration will be critical for Malaysia to become a global player in the games industry. Moving on to the next slide, now let's take a look at the future of the gaming industry in Malaysia based on the four key areas, which is market growth, game-based learning, esports, and challenges. Firstly, under market growth, according to Statista, the gaming networks in market in Malaysia is expected to reach $16.35 million by 2025. The market is expected to keep growing at a rate of 7.57% per year until 2030, reaching $23.55 million. This growth is mostly driven by two main factors. One is better access to the internet and a growing number of young people interested in the digital entertainment. This tells us that demand for digital games is rising rapidly, which opens more opportunities for both local and international game developers in Malaysia. Next, we look at the game-based learning or GBL. The market for GBL in Malaysia is forecasted to grow from $104.26 million in 2024 to $434.87 million by 2033. This is according to the research market. This growth is driven by digital transformation in education and initiatives like the Malaysian Education Blueprint 2013 to 2025. Schools and companies are also starting to adopt gamification and immersive technologies such as AI, augmented reality, and visual reality for teaching and training. This shows that gaming is no longer just for fun. It is also being recognized as a powerful educational tool and professional training method in Malaysia. Now let's move on to esports expansion. Malaysia's esport market is growing rapidly. Revenue is expected to rise from $6.1 million in 2023 to $14.14 million by 2030, growing at a 12.6% annually. As Hui mentioned, one key reason is the large gamer population, over 14 million Malaysian, especially millennials and Gen Z, and the growth is also supported by government and corporate investment, especially after the successful performance in international tournaments. This makes esports one of the most promising career paths in gaming today. not just for players but also for coaches, content creators, marketers, and event managers. The challenges and outlook. According to research, the overall games category in Malaysia media industry is expected to face a 2.9% drop in revenue share between 2025 and 2030. Despite this, the future still looks promising. Continued support from the government, strong infrastructure, and collaboration with industry experts will be key to maintaining growth and staying globally competitive. So while the industry is growing, developers and stakeholders must stay prepared for market shift and be ready to innovate. In conclusion, Malaysia's gaming future is shaped by strong market growth, rising education and corporate use of games, esports success, and also strategic planning, which is to overcome economic challenges. These trends are encouraging for indie developers like Torak Studios, showing that Malaysia has the potential to become a regional leader in game development and digital entertainment.
Thanks, Amar. Now having both insights on the indie and Malaysia local made game, we can see from the finance part, indie developers is typically lack publisher backing and rely on personal funds, crowdfunding, or small grants. Institutional investment is scarce due to perceived high risk. Budgets are typically low, making financial stability precarious. While on the other hand, for Malaysia local made developers benefits from a growing ecosystem fueled by government supports and a rising domestic gaming market. Studios can secure seed funding and investor interest through high budget projects remain rare. Public funding and incubators license creative risks, allowing for niche or culturally rooted IPs. While for the success parts, indie, in other hand, have true success means sustainable income, niche action, and occasionally breakout hints. For instance, Shadow Valley. However, most remain small scale or serve as portfolio project due to limited marketing and funding. Their success is measured by digital skill, crowdfunding RI, and niche audience arrangement. While for the other hand, Malaysia Studios' measure success includes exporting services, gaining international recognition, and accessing foreign publisher or platforms. High-profile Kickstarters campaign reflects global validation, such as the most funded Southern Asia game in 2017.
In conclusion, games with a higher budget and a great team can create many amazing and successful games as seen with System Shock. On the other hand, games with a lower budget and a smaller team can also create great and popular games too. But this requires the help of their passion and creativity. However, not all games will get mainstream attention, as seen with Tag Police Century. Furthermore, gaming and the game based learning in Malaysia has been increasing overall due to people having more internet access, youth engagement, digital education, and esports being on the rise too. Overall, gaming industry has remained strong even though some segments like the traditional games section don't see that much popularity or revenue in all. And here are all the references that we have used for our research today. With that, we have come to the end of our video. Thank you for watching, and we hope that you have engaged or learned something new from our video. And with that, I want to say goodbye.